If you want to learn more about American liberty through the context of American history, go to my friends over at patriotpost.us, sign up today, and download your free copy of The Patriots Primer on American Liberty through the link in the description box below. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about 4 senators that are being accused of insider trading due to recent transactions they made during this whole virus kerfuffle. Now, you have 3 Republicans and 1 Democrat, and they are Richard Burr of North Carolina, Kelly Loeffler of Georgia, James Inhofe of Oklahoma, and Dianne Feinstein, of course, from California. Now, before I even get into it, I want to say that I understand why this may look bad to some people, okay? You know, you got the virus happening, the stock market is tanking, and these individuals sold off stock that plummeted. You're talking about stock in hotels, stock in things that went down dramatically. And since they're in the Senate, then they shouldn't be able to trade stock. They shouldn't really be able to do anything like that because they have insider information that lets them know when stocks are gonna fall before the American people would know. But there's a few things we gotta talk about. First of all, there's the Stock Act. This is an acronym, by the way. It stands for Stop Trading on Congressional Knowledge, STOCK, stock. It was signed in 2012 by Barack Obama. This particular act applies to not only those that are in Congress, Senate, the House, it also applies to the executive branch, president, vice president, and also the judicial branch, judges and some employees of high-level government. And the reason why it was put on the books is because people in Congress may have information that the general public may not have. And if they were to directly trade stock based on that, it could be seen as insider trading. Although insider trading, as far as I know, if I'm wrong, let me know in the comments below, it's about having direct insider, non-public knowledge of a specific business, and you trade based on that. That's how Martha Stewart got locked up, okay? Allegedly, but different story, I'll move on. Anyway, it could be seen as insider trading if you have, like, let's say, classified information that the general public does not have. So the Stock Act made it to where people in these positions must publicly post their transactions to the Senate website. Okay, this is how the Daily Beast and other publications were able to find out that the senators traded their stock during this whole virus situation. It wasn't like some kind of leak or anything. This is all public information, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, most of these senators, if not all of them, have what is called a blind trust. It operates similar to a 401k, although it is not a 401k, but that's a different story. I'll move on. A blind trust means that you give control of your stock portfolio to a third party. You cannot give any kind of comment on it about what should be traded, what shouldn't be traded. You are not consulted about what's going to be traded, what's not going to be traded. You have no role in that process whatsoever. The third party handles it. You don't even know about what's done until after it's already been done, like weeks later. Kelly Loeffler, prime example, we'll get to her in a moment. She said that she didn't know anything about the transaction that was made on her behalf until 3 weeks later. It was made on January 24th or so. And we'll talk about that in a moment. She did not realize it until February 18th, 19th. Okay, almost a month later. Now, let's get to Kelly Loeffler and the situation going on with her. There was an article, I think, on Daily Beast talking about, she sold off a bunch of stock after a private meeting with senators on Capitol Hill, this, that, and the third, relating to the virus. Now, private and classified are not the same thing. Private meaning it was closed door. Classified means that you cannot say anything from the meeting publicly. If you do, now you're in some legal trouble. The meeting was private but not classified. She said on Tucker Carlson on TV that everything that was said in the meeting was made public on Twitter immediately afterwards, maybe even during the meeting. So it was not a classified meeting. So the headline reads, okay, the stock was sold after a private meeting. You may think, oh, well, she went out there and sold the stock right after she heard things that the people of America did not hear. But that's not true because number one, she has a blind trust. She does not make transactions herself. And number two, the information was public right when the meeting was over, maybe even during the meeting. So that headline is misleading, and people that are thinking about that in a certain way just don't really, they're not looking into it very deeply. And I understand what's going on because we are on a hard time right now. I get it. People are kind of on edge. We're kind of emotional, but I try to bring some truth to it. I try to be the voice of reason. I don't let my emotions lead me. I'm looking at the facts of what's going on. And the same thing about the blind trust and not having direct, information can be said about everybody else here. Burr, Feinstein, everybody. This is not a left or right issue. It's a matter of what is right and what's not. Are they following the Stock Act or are they not following the Stock Act? Okay. Their information is available publicly. Anybody can see it. So let's think about it like this. Why would they do a thing like insider trading when they have to reveal what they actually did publicly? It doesn't make any sense. If you're trying to do insider trading, which is a crime, you wouldn't be putting your information out there publicly. Now, some may say, well, how do you know that Loeffler and Burr and Feinstein and Inhofe didn't communicate with the third party and tell them, hey, trade this stock, trade that stock? Well, you got to be able to prove that. You have to be able to prove it. You can't just say, I think they did it, therefore they're guilty. That's not how that works. Okay. If you are to think that they could communicate with the third party, then that means nobody in the Senate can have stock at all. But that's unfair because we want people that come from the private sector that make money on their own rather than being career politicians. Let's be clear. Kelly Loeffler was wealthy before she came to the U.S. government. She is a first-time senator. She just got elected this year. Okay, well, last year or whatever. She was inaugurated January 6, 2020. She's been in there for about, 2 months? So she's a freshman senator. However, she has 20 years in the financial services industry. Her husband is Jeffrey Sprecher, and he owns the New York Stock Exchange. He's a chairman, whatever you want to call it. He's like high up right there. He's the CEO of a company that owns the NYSE, basically. So for a long time, they've done this whole blind trust thing because if your husband has that kind of position over the stock exchange, you can't have them just trading stocks just himself. Give it to a third party and let them do it. If you don't believe in the blind trust system, then you got to say they got to sell all their stocks. But how is that fair? I work hard to make my money in the private sector. I come to the government to serve the people, but I can't even have my own money that I made outside of the government work for me. So what you're going to do at that point is encourage career politicians. If I can't make money in the private sector, then I got to make it in the public sector and be a 35-year Senate employee. You understand what I'm saying? That doesn't make any sense. So I think the best thing to do here would be to have the blind trust because the third party handles it and have that be that. Maybe some oversight. I'm not really sure what would calm the people, but that's pretty much my 2 cents on it. I understand how people are kind of reacting in an emotional way, but it's not even about that. The ethics, it's not even about being ethical because I'm trying to find stocks right now. I pray that we can all get past this as soon as possible. I wish we were not here, but I'm not just going to, ignore making money for the sake of people feeling better. I don't, that's not how this thing works. And quite frankly, we need to get back into the stock market because it's down and people are suffering as a result. We need to get money back into the economy. That's how this whole thing works. That's capitalism. Okay, maybe you want socialism or communism, but we've seen where that goes. Okay, line up on the wall and prepare to get shot. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? Do you think that this whole thing with the senators is improper? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. Is it illegal? If that's your viewpoint, let me know why in the comments below. If it is illegal, then we got to be able to prove it. I don't care if you are a Democrat like Feinstein, a Republican like Loeffler. We got to be able to say you're innocent until proven guilty. Let's get some evidence going on and talk about the evidence. As far as I know, everything's above board. All their transactions are listed publicly. They have blind trust. What more can they do? Okay, before they came into Congress, they were private citizens. They should be able to have their wealth increased, because that's what you do when you're in the private sector. Just because you become public does not mean you give up all that, because if you do, then that would encourage more career politicians. If I can't make money privately, I'll make it publicly, and that's worse, obviously, than making it privately. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.